On today's episode with PFA, we have Becca's 2024 Mach-E that she is very, very excited to transform into a brushed black finish. She always wanted a black Mach-E, but at the time that she bought this, they only had a red one and it was at 0% financing. So she went with 0% financing, lived with the red for a while, but it's still bugging her that it's not black. So to add a little bit of flair to it, she's going to go with brushed black and give this thing an insane look once it's all done, pulled out outside. Stay tuned for the transformation on her Mach-E. So before we get started on this transformation, before we even put hands on it, start cleaning it, we do an inspection on the Mach-E to figure out if there's any damage that's already on the vehicle, so we can let the customer know and figure out if we need to do any sort of repairs before we do the wrap service. Being that it's pretty new and she takes care of it pretty well, there's not much going on the Mach-E that we have to take care of or that would affect us in the installation process. The only thing that we saw so far was the front bumper has damage on this lower valence area that's gloss black. Being that we're only going to wrap the red areas, that won't affect us in the installation process. Any little pitting and chips on the front bumper, being that it's used, will still remain underneath the vinyl and potentially show through if they're big enough. But for the most part, this job is going to be nice, smooth, and seamless. There's not really going to be anything that we need to repair to give her the results that she's looking for. The next step of the full wrap is something that we take a lot of pride in to separate ourselves from other wrap companies, is that we go through and do a full detail on the vehicle, not just cleaning the red areas, putting the wrap on it, and then calling it a day and sending it on its way. It goes through first in our wash bay, deep cleaning the engine bay, the fender wells, the wheels, tires, getting all that grime flushed out, going through to the door jambs, getting all that out of there, cleaning the interior, getting any sort of dust, debris, dog hair. We really want to deep clean the vehicle before we go through and lay down the vinyl wrap. We can just clean the paint and lay it on there and it's fine. If for some reason we need to blow something out underneath it, blow off some dust that may have landed on that panel, and there's dirt in the surrounding areas, we're blowing all that back onto that panel potentially, leaving grit, imperfections in the vinyl, stuff like that that we don't want. So we go heavy in the wash bay to get this thing looking super clean, prepped heavily with a clay bar process before we go back into the wrap area and further clean it, like all these tight edges, underneath trim panels, things that we need to disassemble to get further access to. So we're at phase 2 with the Mach-E. The inspection's done, so now we have it in the wash bay. Santi is behind me getting this thing prepped. He just finished blowing out the interior, cleaning the wheels and tires and the fender wells, the engine bay where there would be an engine. Normal washing isn't enough to get this surface prepped, whether we're doing vinyl work, PPF, polishing, anything that we're gonna do more than just a regular light detail. The important step in the wash bay is going to be the clay bar. That's going to exfoliate and deep clean the paint and get rid of the bonded contaminants that build up over time that don't just get rubbed off with a wash mitt. If we don't remove these, you're going to be left with bumps and imperfections in the vinyl once it's all installed. It'll look almost as if we had rock chips or we just had loose debris flying while we were installing it. And that's why it's really important to decontaminate your paint with a clay bar or a clay mitt, anything that we need to get this thing fully smooth. This happened to have built up tree sap that is really stuck on there. So normally we use something like alcohol or Terminator, something citrus based, to try and dissolve this tar to get this off. But in this case, we're going to be using a razor blade trick to get this off safely. Now, a razor blade sounds really dangerous on paint, and if used incorrectly, it can cause a lot of damage. But if you know how to prep your blade, hone it so it's nice and smooth and really, really sharp on one side, you can get this tree sap off in no time.
Hey, my name is Robert. We're here now on the dismantling step, which is basically where we take apart all the emblems, the trims, the side mirrors, door handles, anything that's gonna get in the way of us actually wrapping the car. Each panel, we basically want it to be stripped down nice and flat, no emblems in the way. We don't want to cut around anything. We want it to be nice, flat, even surface. Lay it on there, put the emblems back on, put everything back on how it should be. But here we are literally taking panel by panel and stripping each piece down, trying to get it all.
So continuing off what Robert was talking about with our phase 3 with disassembly, the bumper is now fully pulled off, and what he's going to do is pull these trim pieces off to get further access inside these tight areas to have a nice seamless install. You can see the level we take to get a vehicle prepped before we even touch the vinyl, before we even lay a single piece of wrap on the vehicle. You can see over here, he's also done a little bit extra prep with some tape. This is gonna help once the vinyl is installed to not stick to this area, so we can tuck it into these tight spaces here and not try and fight the vinyl and do unnecessary amount of stretching and compromise the longevity of the install. Another part of the phase 3 with the disassembly is there's a final step of cleaning that has to be done before we install the vinyl. The bulk of the cleaning is done during the wash bay prep, washing all the loose grime off the surface, clay barring like we talked about. But the final step is once these pieces are removed, the edges all need to get deep cleaned as well now that we have access to them. Normally you don't have that access when you're just washing it because everything's all put together. But that allows us to clean this edge here, the tight areas around, let's say right here where the mirror comes off. We have way more access to get to it. And you can see right here, all the dirt that's trapped up in there that's still there even after doing such a heavy cleaning on the initial step. So with all the prep done, now it's time for phase 4. The actual transformation is happening with the vinyl being installed. You can see here, Robert is now laying out a big piece of vinyl on the side to get his sizing up, to get the right pieces for the right panels. The idea behind this is he's putting this whole big piece for the 2 doors, the quarter panel, and he was able to cut out his door, his A to C pillar back to the quarter panel, and is going to be able to, and not in this vehicle, but in other vehicles that have a side skirt that we need to wrap, he would have a piece at the bottom that we use for that to get that piece. But since this doesn't have it, we're just gonna leave it. We'll just have extra pieces that we can do little bits around the vehicle afterwards. We only have one mic, so we have to get really close to each other.
Oh my God.
This is a very intimate company. We're family over here, okay? Tell me, I have to be this close so the mic can pick it up.
How about this? Instead of telling you, I'm gonna show you.
Show me. See that? After all of those long days of hard work, precision, and final care on Rebecca's Mach-E, it is finally done. And I've warned her many times before we started this project that if she was going to be okay with all of the attention she's going to be getting with her very, very custom Mach-E in this brush black finish. All that's left now is to just have a conversation with her on how to upkeep it and to show her some photos of along the way of the process. So if you guys want to see how to maintain your wrap vehicle, your ceramic coated vehicle, or if your vehicle has PPF, click the link in the show notes and we will walk you through what you need to do to maintain your vehicle, keep it looking its best. But for now, we're gonna pull out Rebecca's Mach-E, show it to her, and hopefully she's as blown away as we are with how amazing her car looks. We hope you guys enjoyed this video and we'll check you on the next one. Thank you guys.